Tasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaye Tadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Vandeham Shri Guruvaram Shri Rupanugapravaram Vrajarasarasikam Cha Narayanam Tam Prapanam Shri Gurum Charanam Vande Ramana Pristaya Bhutale Rupanuga Bhaktidam Cha Vipamurtinara Seva Kunje Prajiramye Govardhane Giro Sada Radha Kunde Rasanande Tat Tat Seva Pradayakam Gurum Narayanakyam Tang Vande Vinoda Pistakam Yatpada Smriti Matrena Damodara Prasidhati Namo Mahabadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Bhajami Radham Madhavindamekram Smarami Radham Madhurasmikasam Vadami Radham Karunabharadram Tato Mamanyasti Gati Mukati Shyama Sundar Shikanda Shekara Smera Hasam Murali Manohara Radhika Rasikamam Kripanidhi Svapriya Charanam Kinkarim Kuru Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ola Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Shri Gurudeva Ki Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Guru Parampara Ki Jai Sarva Santan Hari Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Hari Bol. So for some months we've been doing Chaitanya Charitamrita readings in the morning. Great discussions, reading, discussing the purports of Srila Prabhupada. Now it's Radha Damodar Vrat, Urja Vrat, Niyam Seva, Kartik Vrat. Last night we were talking a little bit about how this is Damodar's month, but the best way to please Damodar is to remember and chant the names of his beloved Shrimati Radhika. Namo Radhikaye Tadayai Priyaye. The final verse of Damodarastakam, in the conclusion, you say the culmination of Satyavrat Muni's meditation in his progression of understanding of the Absolute led him to the understanding of the divine couple, Shri Radha and Krishna, not Krishna alone. And so, to best please Damodar, Krishna Naam Gani Bhai, Radhika Charana Bhai, Radha Naam Gane Krishna Chandra. Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings in his song Radhika Charana Renu that Krishna Naam Gane Bhai, if you chant the names of Krishna, Radhika Charana Bhai, you get the lotus feet of Radharani. Radhanam Gane Krishna Chandra, and by chanting Radharani's names, you achieve the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Shangshepi ko hino kata guchao manera vyata dukamoy hoyanta. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Shangshepi ko hino kata. This is my Shangshep, the abbreviated, or you could say he's giving the nutshell, everything in a nutshell, as if he's, the universe in the Bindu. Bindu means everything comes from the Big Bang. So it's like all the potential's there. Bindu means, in Vedic philosophy, there's also the Bindu philosophy. Everything's coming from, the potentiality of everything, just in the sound vibration Om. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Shangshepi ko hinu kata. In essence, I'm telling you, the process of spiritual life. Krishna naam gane bai, Radhika charana pai, Radha naam gane Krishna chandra. Chant not just Krishna's names and not just Radharani's names. Chant Radharani and Krishna's names. Then they're both pleased. But to please Krishna, you chant Radharani's names. To please Radharani, you chant Krishna's names. So Janmashtami, Nandotsav is most pleasing to Radharani, and Radhastami is most pleasing to Krishna. We have to understand this. It's about the mood of our Ishvars, what pleases them the most. Dukkhamoy haryanta. This is the way to absolve yourself of all sufferings. Means this is the way to solve all your problems. Just chant. That's why we chant the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This is the Yupal mantra. Some people think that this is Hare is for Hari. But Sastra describes that Hare is the vocative case for Hara. Hara means she who steals the heart of Hari. Krishna is Madan Mohan. He bewilders even millions of cupids by his beauty and charm. But Srimati Radhika is Madan Mohan Mohini, she who bewilders even Sri Krishna. All the three worlds are attracted to Sri Krishna, but he himself is always in the mood of being subservient to his Srimati Radhika. Yad kinkarishu bahusha kaluka kuvani nityam parasya purushasya shikartamoni tasya kadara sanidir vrishabhanujayas tatkeli kunja bhavanangana marjanisham. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad writes in his Radharasa Nidhi, Yad kinkarishu bahusha kaluka kuvani, that nityam parasya purushasya shikartamoni, that Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality, who all the universes revere, all the heads of unlimited universes bow their heads down at his lotus feet. All the Lord Brahmas for every universe, meaning all the heads of all the universes, bow their heads at that Sri Krishna's feet. He is Ishvara Parama Krishna. Of all Ishvars, meaning of all controllers, he is the supreme. Brahma, Indra, Varun, Vayu, Agni. These demigods, compared to Krishna, they are transitory posts. It's like governors and ministers. But Krishna is the absolute monarch forever. He is Ishvara Parama. Krishna. Satchidananda Vigraha. Anadi Adi. He is the beginning of all beginnings. Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes. That Sri Krishna bows down, Yat Kinkarishu Bahusha Kaluka Kuvani, at the entrance to the Kunj, or the grove, where Srimati Radhika is being served by her attendants, by her dear friends, Sakhis. Krishna's outside and he offers pranam. He bows his head down. So Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad writes this. That Supreme Ishwar, Supreme Lord of all Lords, Krishna, whom the heads of all the universes bow their head down at his feet, he bows his head down at the feet of not only Radharani, but of her maidservants. Yat Kinkarishu Bahusha Kalu Kakuvani. And with Kakuvani, Prabodhananda Saraswati Pad is praying with this mood to Radharani. Oh, Radharani, please accept me as your own. Nijaganam videhi. But he's saying it's astonishing that Krishna, the Supreme Lord of all Lords, is bowing down at the feet of her attendants and asking, please give me entrance into her secluded grove. So therefore, we should try to understand the exalted position of Srimati Radhika, and to please Krishna, we chant the name of Radharani. So during Damodar month, we chant these songs, not that it is even so much our mood, but that it is something that we are endeavoring to please the divine couple by singing these songs, understanding them to be the supreme subject. We're singing for them. In one of the limbs of Bhakti by Raghunath Srila Goswami, I think it's 39, I believe. Paricharya means sing for the Lord as if they are your king. Dance for them. Cook and offer to them. Arti for them. Everything is an offering to them for their pleasure. So we are singing these songs to please them. And like, Gugu Gaga, a small baby, he tries to please his parents anyhow. And if they are pleased, then they can give us ultimately a scent of bhakti, a taste, a glimmer, a glimpse. Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma Prema Suryam Samyubhat Ruchivis Kitramasho Kritisham Bhavam Uchate. We want one ray of the sun of Prem to come upon our heart, melt it with ecstatic devotion. In Jaiva Dharma, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the naimitic svabhav, meaning the covered conditioning of the living entity, meaning it's described that the living entity is a vastu, it's a permanent substance, a permanent entity. And it has a permanent nature, pure eternal nature. But that becomes covered over. Naimitic means, and it acquires a temporary nature according to its environment, according to its desires. And the example is given of water and ice. The natural state of water is liquidity, but by a certain environment it becomes frozen. We can think of our hearts as it's developed this acquired nature of material life, enjoying in this world as an independent controller, or attempting to be so, and yet always subservient. You gotta serve somebody, Bob Dylan saying. Even if we don't want to, we want to be kings. Even kings have to serve. It's the nature of the jiva to serve. So, the nitya svabhav is pure love, and the expression of that pure love is divine service. Therefore, you cannot divide love and service. If it's real seva, then it's with love. Otherwise, it's karma, sukriti, something else. Real seva means with love for the pleasure of the beloved. That is called bhakti. And you perform it with all your senses. That's why the gopis who perform bhakti with all 11 senses are described to be topmost servitors, because they can serve completely, without inhibition, and the most intimately. They can develop the closest feeling of kaivalyeka prayojana, means they become so connected in their service that there's no longer distinction even in their minds between themselves and their beloved. Because all of their moods, all of their desires, all their activities are simply to please the beloved. Therefore they can sing. न जाने अपने दुख सविवंच तार सुख अमर तत्पर्य मोरे जड़े दिले दुख तार मोय महासुख से दुख मोरे सुख varya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would sing this. I don't know of my own happiness. I only know of the happiness of my beloved. If my beloved is pleased by my misery, that misery is my greatest happiness. And it's not just a conception or an idea, it's a reality. This is called tadatmata, complete oneness of heart. So, in this month of Damodar, it's also called Urja Vrata. Urja is a name for Srimati Radhika, the supreme power of the Lord. Urja means force, power, Shakti. So there's also called Urja Vrata. So it's a vow to please Srimati Radhika. And therefore, how do we please her most? Worship Shri Krishna. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada says, an understanding of the Absolute without the conception of the divine couple is always limited. It's only half of reality. He writes this, he spoke this in a Radhastami lecture in the 30s, early 30s. He said, it was a grand assembly, a beautiful lecture, like 20, 30 pages, talks about the Bhagavatam. And if you read the Bhaktisiddhanta's lectures, it's, it's amazing in his diction, his style, his philosophical conclusions. And he states very boldly in front of so many dignitaries that a so-called understanding of the absolute truth without regard for his Shakti and an understanding of the divine couple, it's only a picture of half of reality. And therefore such a conception of God will be Kliv Brahma, means partial absolute. And it becomes like God without limbs, without arms, without legs, without attributes, without qualities, without features, without name, nothing. It becomes just, that's why we see so much impersonalism, or what is God? Oh, it's just some kind of spirit. I'm God, you're God, we're all God, the universe is God. It just becomes like everything, and then it becomes nothing. Kliv Brahma. Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we worship Radha Krishna, not Krishna Radha. You want to get to Krishna? Radha Krishna first. Shri Shri Radha Krishna. All Gaudiya Vaishnava temples, all the temples established by the Goswamis, Srimati Radhika is present. And we always chant Radha Krishna, Hare Krishna, Radharani's names. Sita Ram, Lakshmi Narayan. Shakti is present. We cannot, other traditions, Abrahamic traditions, there's more of a focus on the Purush. Therefore it leads to, not to criticize, but it leads to certain tendencies that are not, helpful for a harmonized society. You have to understand a balanced picture of reality, and that includes Sri Krishna and his beloved Shakti. This is called the divine couple. We worship the divine couple here. The power and the powerful. How can you divide the two? How can you divide fire from its heat and light? So Radha Krishna, fire, heat and light, how can you divide them? To try to divide them is like scientific, dissection. But this kernel of truth cannot be divided. It's described in Javadharma like a chickpea with the skin. Certain kinds of Indian chickpeas, It has a skin, so it's one, but inside it's two halves. So is it two halves or is it one chickpea? It's one chickpea. It's not two chickpeas. It's one chickpea with two halves. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would call it the divine moieties. Two inseparable halves. That is Radha Krishna. It's not like 1/5 and 4/5. 2/3 and 1/3. Oh, Radharani, she's like 1/5. Krishna's 4/5. Or Radharani's 3/5, Krishna's 2/5. No. Divine moieties, two inseparable halves. Therefore they appear as one as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to show. Right? Like fire has, the example is given in many places of our scriptures. Fire has heat and light, two qualities. But can you just take away some light, take away some heat? Wherever there's a fire, there will be light and heat. Light a candle, light a match. It'll have some light, some heat. So fire is God. Wherever God is present, His Shakti will be present. And His Shakti, His force, has a personality as well, just like He does. If you don't understand Shakti, Shaktiman, Tattva, powerful and the power, the potency and the potent, energy and the energetic, then your conception of God will be very limited and it will become impersonal. But the personality of Godhead includes two features, Krishna and Shri Radha. So in this month, Urja Vrata is for Srimati Radhika. She is Urjeshwari, supreme goddess of all power. Brahma Gayatri is worshipping Sri Radha and Sri Krishna. But it is Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Meditate upon the Bhargo, means the force, the power of the Absolute. You can put it out there, or I don't know if they're ready or not. Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Worship that divine power of the Lord. Meditate upon that. Kevala, it said, Atapa Rohita Surai Nahi Jani Radha Anadara Purusa Abhimani. You want to see the sun, but without the rays of the sun. So God is the sun, the rays of the sun is Radharani. Therefore we worship Radha Krishna. Radha comes first. You want to approach Krishna. Otherwise, I want to be Krishna. I want to be Radha. This is called Ahanguru Bhashana. It's another form of Mayavad. Bypass. This is the original spiritual bypass. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Mera Giridhari Gopal Dushra Na Koi. This is one song by an Indian poet. I only know Giridhari, I don't know any other. With this mentality, you won't enter Braj. And your conception of a relation with Krishna will be having some distance. Not the full intimacy that the Brajvasis possess. The Brajvasis' mood in relation with Krishna is so intimate, they don't even think he is God. He's just their friend, just their son, just their beloved. Such a sweet, intimate window into the absolute realm, where time stops. Every moment is blissful engagement in the divine pastimes of the Lord. Every moment is an expression of our love through transcendental service, in newer and newer varieties. So this is Urja Vrat. It's also Niyam Seva. Niyam Seva means following rules and regulations. Seva, it's also a service. Niyam Seva, following rules and regulations at a great service. What does our Guru want for us? If he's a bona fide Guru, the first desire of Guru for us is our spiritual advancement. Not that, how much is he serving my mission? That's very important. Service to the mission of Guru is the primary means of advancement in spiritual life. Because it's helping us develop the mood that Krishna is in the center, not myself. My sadhana, my this, my that, my progress. It's all focused on myself as the primary subject. But in Bhakti, we understand Krishna is the center, and we put Krishna in the center, and Guru in the center, and try to serve them. Therefore, serving the mission is a way of our own spiritual advancement. We see in the time of Srila Prabhupada, early days, people tirelessly serving. Are they not making spiritual advancement? If we can offer our life in the service of Sri Guru in Krishna consciousness, we cannot describe the merit achieved by such activities. Not only the merit, but the endearment to God. We endear ourselves to Krishna by serving his messenger, serving his Guru who has come to this world. But what does Guru want? Guru wants our spiritual advancement. Let them advance in Krishna consciousness. Let them become bona fide devotees. So therefore, Niyam Seva. This is a seva. Follow proper rules and regulations. Shankya Purvaka Nama Gana Natibi Kala Vasani Krito. Where's my mom? Arjuna. Very nice. How you are? Maybe someone can check on Amanda. She's with baby Krishna. Mom is with baby Krishna.
I can't protest that.
Okay, a few minutes. Mama's coming out, okay? Mama's with baby Krishna. Okay, Krishna, yesterday baby Krishna came, so she's with baby, now you have brother. Baby Krishna. Sometimes Mama's with baby Krishna. Okay? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, she's coming. Now she's feeding baby Krishna. Okay? Afterwards you can eat. Okay? She's confused.
I can let me.
You can wait a few minutes?
I know it.
Okay, she's with baby Krishna. You can wait a few minutes, okay? Just a few minutes. I know you're a strong, big, strong boy. Oh, here's Mama. She's finished with baby Krishna. This is with baby Arjuna. Arjuna and Krishna are best friends. Do you know that? Arjuna is Krishna's best friend. So you're Krishna's best friend now, okay?
Yes, they ride on the chariot together.
There you go. Niyam Seva. What is our niyam? Srila Prabhupada, when he came to America, he sang and recorded the specific bhajans and ashtakams. And the Sad Goswami Ashtakam is very beautiful. Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Paro Premamritam Bonidhi. My father, when he was first joining, we hear this with many devotees, they would just listen to these songs on repeat for hours. These songs are like the deepest form of meditations, especially Srila Prabhupada's transcendental voice. Remember the picture of Srila Prabhupada in I think Achyutananda Prabhu described him as, like, he looked like the emperor of the galaxy. The galactic presence of Srila Prabhupada. So he sings this bhajan and he sings, this is Niyam Seva. What is Niyam Seva? Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gana Natibi Kala Vasani Krito. Kala Vasani Krito. Spending our time in regulated Sankhya Purvak. Why do we chant in our beads and we count? Our beads are 108 and then we have counter beads. So this is called Sankhya Purvaka Nam. This is Niyam Seva. Take a vow, every day I'll chant this many rounds. And when we start our spiritual life, this is one of the first instructions. This is Guru Seva. This is Niyam Seva is Guru Seva, service to Guru. Because Guru wants our advancement. He comes to help us, not to take help from us. But we help Guru in his cause for our spiritual betterment. But Guru comes to help us. So the first instruction he gives is Sankhya Purvak Nam. Chant the Lord's names in a regulated manner. This is the first niyam. Whatever stage we're at, don't try to jump. Oh, every day I'm Haridas Thakur, 3 lakh Harina. I remember I was doing Bengal Prachar, preaching in the villages of Bengal, like 2006. And all the different ladies, they cook, and well water, we're not in Sundarban in the jungles. And I would be sitting in a tent, like chanting, and they would come and tease me so much. Hey Haridas, oh Haridas, hey Sadhu Baba, Dongi Sadhu, fake Sadhu, sitting and chanting around. Hey, what kind of Sadhu are you? Bogus. These big Bengali ladies, Hey Sala. And I was there for like weeks, so you collect rice and you go to another village, you come back, and then like in the morning you're chanting, Hey Harida, Sala, Kakare, Dongi, cheater, pretender. Like they have generations and generations of like authentic, traditional bhakti, and they're like, hey, white man. And then I would try to cook, and they're like, we cook, they have these earthen chulas, it means fire pits. And they dig like a pit in the ground, and has one mouth for the fire to be put in the wood, and then they make like 4 or 5 like a burner. And the one fire feeds like 5 or 6 places to cook. Jagannath is like that also in Ratha, in Puri. So I would be trying to cook, and like 10 or 15 Bengali ladies would sit around and like have this look of disgust on their face. But I learned from them. They made many sweets, so many interesting things, puli pita, so many kinds of amazing preparations. They have like 100 kinds of pita pana. This is one of Mahaprabhu's. He loved it so much actually, but he would take, Mahaprabhu followed Niyam Seva. He would say, Morda Bhakta Deya Pita Pana, Morda Deha Lafra Bhyanjan. Give my devotees pita pana. It's like a dumpling in a thick condensed milk sauce. Not too thick, like a rubbery. A little bit thin, but very rich and sweet. And then you make like with semolina, and you put some burfi inside. There's many kinds. And then you fry it in ghee, and it's very soft. When you cook with white flour, it becomes chewy. But you make a semolina dough, you add a little bit of white flour just to hold it, just a teeny bit, like 2%. And then you fry it in ghee fast, and it becomes golden. And then you soak that in the rubbery sauce, pita pana. So in Bengal, they make like 100 kinds of this. So many kinds. So I would learn that from them. But the idea is that Niyam Seva. We're not Haridas, but we should be Haridas, Anudas, Anudas. Chant Harinam. This is our first Guru Seva. Whatever Guru gives you, it's your service to honor that. So Niyam Seva means following rules and regulations of spiritual life. Sankhya Purvaka Nam Gan. We're following the Goswamis. What did the Goswamis do? They didn't just sit and chant. They sang kirtan. And they wrote so many kirtans. Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narthandas Thakur. So many other great Vaishnavas wrote so many kirtans. Satyavrat Muni spoke, and this is from the Padma Puran. And so this is an integral part of bhakti, kirtan. So this is also niyam. In a regulated fashion, we will sing various kirtans or chants for the Lord and for His pleasure, and to try to develop a mood of following those personalities that we aspire to serve like in the spiritual realm. So therefore this month is also Niyam Seva. But I didn't conclude this point. I want to go back to this one point. Naimatik and Nitya Swabhav. Swabhav means your nature. And Naimatik means temporary, Nitya means eternal. So we become covered over by an acquired nature, which is not our true nature. And by that acquired nature, there's 4 original anarthas. Anarthas means a kind of like distortion or perverted nature over our pure spiritual nature. The first of those anarthas, it literally means something that doesn't have value, which is very interesting. Anartha. Artha means value or wealth, and anartha means the opposite. So anartha, the first one is forgotten or mistaken identity, swarupram, mistaken identity. I think I'm this body, and according to whatever body I get, I think I'm that. But the nature of this reality is that, in the cycle of samsara, there's 8,400,000 species of life described in the Vedas. So when I'm a cat, I think I'm a cat. When I'm a dog, I think I'm a dog. When I'm a man, I think I'm a man. When I'm a woman, I think I'm a woman. Swarup Brahm, mistaken identity. The first anartha. What we should understand is that we are attached to form. So we shouldn't think that the solution is formlessness. The solution is pure form. That's the reality. Darkness exists because of light, not as a separate entity. Shadow. When you look towards God, you're in the light. You look away from God, you're in the shadow, because your own form creates it. Right? If you put light behind you, shadows in the front. Base the light, shadows in the back. So Maya is darkness, or nescience. Godhead is light. Our process is to go back to Godhead, Srila Prabhupada would say. What means society is turned away from God, he describes it. Society is turned away from God. Our spiritual society is formed to turn people back towards God. Krishna antarmukh. Turn towards Krishna. This is everything. So how do we do that? The acquired nature, the first one, Swarup Brahm, mistaken identity. Second one, development of material thirsts that are temporary, meaning they're not actually beneficial or related to the soul, this true self. Asat Krishna. Thirst for that which is not real. It's a fantasy. It's real in substance. Prakriti is not illusory. Prakriti means material nature and all the elements of material nature. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. And all the combinations of them. And all the universes. It's real, it's substantial. It has substance. But it's asat because it's not really related to the soul. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Nasato vidite bhavo bhava vidite sata uvayorapi dristvantas tvanyos tattvadarshati. Those who know the truth know that that which is asat can never be sat. Temporary matter can never be eternal. And that which is eternal is never temporary. So the soul is sat, as of a spiritual nature. And asat is the material nature. So therefore Krishna says, Apariyam nitastramyam prikritim vidime param. The soul is a higher principle than matter. The previous verse in Gita, Krishna says, Bhumirapona lova yukammano buddhireva chahankara. Right? Vidatma. That there are 8 principles of matter. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, and also mind, intelligence, and ego. These are only actually ways that the self interacts with material energy. Mind, intelligence, and ego. Without these, we cannot have a kind of interaction between the two separate substances. Soul and matter is distinct. And we connect through, it's described like a chariot. The chariot is the body, horses are the senses, 5 horses, 5 senses. The reins, the mind, the driver, intelligence, and then the self is witnessing. And the ego is the Swarup Brahm, the ego of the incorporated, like the corporal self, that is not our true spiritual nature. And so how do we change the acquired nature to the pure nature? Swarup Brahm, Asat Trishna, Hridaya Durbalya, weakness of heart. It's the third anartha. I want to give these things up that I know are bad for me, but it's very difficult. So I have weakness of heart. And many more categories within these categories are given, but we won't get into that now. Hridaya Durbalya Aparad, offenses. Koti Janma Jadi Shravana Kirtan Tabudhanapai Krishna Pade Premadan. Chidin Chartramita and Rupa Goswami also writes this. We may chant for millions of lifetimes, but still Krishna Prem or love, pure love for God, does not arise in the heart. Why? Because of many aparads, offenses. Therefore, it's not enough simply Sankhya Purvak Nam, regulated chanted. Regulated chanting alone is not enough. We must endeavor to progress from offensive to pure chanting. And therefore, the 10 offenses are given in Harinam Chindamani by Haridas Thakur in a conversation with Mahaprabhu. Describes the offenses to the Lord while chanting. It's in separate conversation. But these are given, so we should always have a progressive mentality of spiritual life. We don't want to feel static. Oh, I've done enough. Until we've awakened pure love for God and realize our true spiritual nature, we should not be satisfied with our progress. We should have a progressive mentality. How can I advance more day by day? Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur would say, take account of your spiritual life, like an expert businessman takes accounts daily of his gains and losses. In this way you should be. If you really want to separate yourself from bondage to matter, if you want to leave the unreal realm, meaning the realm that is not the true place or home for your spiritual nature, therefore it's called asat. You're here in that realm that's always temporary and changing, and you're looking for permanence, and therefore you're always miserable. So you can't find permanence here. Whatever you can see, touch, taste with your material senses is also temporary. It will not last forever. Therefore, we want to go deeper. So Sankhya Purvak Nam, Gan Natibi, offering pranam. Kala Vasani Krito. In this way we conquer over time. Ayur Harati Vai Pung Samudyanastan Charyanaso. Rising and setting of the sun and moon decreases the lifespan of all living entities, except for those who engage themselves in Krishna Kirtan and in hearing the Lord's glories. They become immortal. So this is the immortal path. And how do we change the acquired nature? The acquired nature makes our heart like ice. The example is given of water and ice. So we need to melt that heart. Goda pahu navajiya mainu prema ratanadhan helaya harainu. We sing to Mahaprabhu, oh, I've heard so many wonderful glories of you, and yet my heart is not melted, alas. Pasan hole gele joto, man pasanto golinare. A rock melts in the presence of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, hearing the chanting of the devotees, and yet my heart is not melted. When will my heart melt? When will I overcome weakness of heart, Hridaya Durbalya? When will I overcome asat trishna, material thirsts? When, oh when will that day be mine? Kabe have bolo, Sayyidina Amar. This is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's prayer. And all our Vaishnavacharyas have this mood of when, and this mood of prayer and prarthana. So when, what can we do? What is the best method? Shankshiti. Chant Krishna Nam with deep sincerity. Try to increase your chanting gradually. Regulated chanting and gradually increased. This is the progressive path. 4 rounds a day, okay. 1 round a day, okay, but steady. 4, 8, 16, 32. Our Gurudev would say that people got very disturbed by this. People got really disturbed. It was kind of an arbitrary number almost. He said if you can't chant, he was saying chant 64, chant 32, please chant 25, and if you can't do that, go jump in the Pacific Ocean. At least we can aspire for this and try to develop regularity in chanting. What is the ocean? The ocean of Krishna praying. So try to drown in that ocean of Krishna praying. Vaishnavas reconciled. Gurudev is not advising us to, throw ourselves away. But we have to find a way to order our lives around making room for Harinam Seva. This is the main Niyam Seva. If that is complete, then all other angas of bhakti will follow. Naturally faith will be there, naturally taste will be there. You'll end up in the association of devotees. You chant Harinam. You'll end up being with the deities. You'll end up going to the Dham or being somewhere favorable. Take shelter of Harinam. This main Niyam Seva. This month especially, Niyam Seva. Pick a number, try to follow it. 4, 8, 16, whatever. But try to chant Harinam. This is very important. So we're following this month. Damodar Vrat, Urja Vrat, Niyam Seva. And I wasn't expecting quite yet to speak this morning, so I was thinking of different topics, but usually we hear about Damodar Astakam in this month. It's a very beautiful prayer. We sing it every morning and evening and offer lamps to Sri Radha Damodar. Damodar means he who is bound by the love of his devotees. That God who cannot be conquered, he is unconquerable, but he is bound by the love of his devotees. Bound by Mother Yashoda, Yashoda Damodar. His belly was bound to the grinding mortar. And it was an astonishing pastime that Mother Yashoda tried to bind him because he was stealing butter and he was being very naughty in his pastimes. And he broke her yogurt pot, filled the whole room up with yogurt. She was going to use the churn. She had spent so much work on it. And then she chased him. It was very difficult to catch him. He was running here and there, crooked. Said, Yashoda Mata is a little bit heavy with prem. So she's very fast though, but Krishna was thinking, if I zigzag a bit, it'll be harder for her to follow. So Krishna was running in zigzag patterns. But Yashoda Mata, it's described that she ran faster than Krishna and caught him. So it shows that the love of the devotee is even more powerful. It's the only thing that can conquer God. How can you run faster than God? He's omnipotent. But she ran faster than him and caught him. And then she was trying to bind him to the grinding mortar, but it was astonishing for her that no matter how many threads she brought, Krishna's waist is very small. He's a little baby, Koma. But she would bring more and more thread and it would always be 2 fingers too short. It was very astonishing for her. And they ended up bringing all the ropes and all the threads from all of Vrindavan and Braj Mandal. You can imagine it was like hundreds of miles of rope because Nanda Baba has 900,000 cows. And all the cowherd boys and gopas have rope to use for cow herding. Vrishabhanu Maharaj, even more, 11 lakhs, means 1,100,000 cows. Sridham, Sudham, all of the sakas, all of the parents, they all have cows and they all have rope. And all of that combined, and all the other threads and everything in the different households was not enough to bind Krishna. And all day Mother Yashoda was trying to bind Krishna and she was becoming exhausted. How is this possible? And Krishna was sitting there mixture of emotions. It's called Kila Kinchit. It's described for Radharani, but it means many emotions mixed together. Mother Yashoda is trying to bind me, is a little disturbed. I just want to play with my friends. I just want to steal butter and cause mischief. Why is Mother Yashoda trying to do everything alone? She sent the other sevaks home because Krishna was always stealing butter, not eating from her house. So she didn't understand, why is Krishna always, every day the gopis come and complain to me, oh, your naughty son is just stealing butter. Comes in the morning and not only does he steal butter, he causes so much mischief. He pinches the kids, he disturbs the parents. Sometimes they're sleeping, the grandparents are sleeping outside with their mouth open. And Krishna stuffs laddus in their mouth and they wake up choking. He comes in, and we have a walled entry to the house, but Krishna, they climb on top of each other's shoulders and get inside the house to steal butter. And we hide butter and other sweets up on rafters like this. And then they climb one on top of other shoulders and get the butter. And then as the mothers hear some noise and they start coming, all the other sakas run. And Krishna's left hanging. So she catches him. I've been telling everyone you've been stealing my butter. I know you're right there. And they, every day go and complain. But they catch him red-handed sometimes. They try to pull him to Mother Yashoda. But as they're dragging Krishna, they're pulling Krishna. He says, oh, mother, you're squeezing so hard, my hand hurts. Can you just switch hands? Take the other hand. And right as she switches hands, her own son puts his hand there because she covered him over to take him. So he switches. And when she goes to Mother Yashoda, she starts yelling, oh, Mother Yashoda, oh, Mother Yashoda. I sit down. I told you, I caught your son red-handed. We're going to see Krishna in a minute, okay? And then Mother Yashoda says, okay, let's see. And she takes off the covering and it's her own son. Mother Yashoda says, oh, Pagali, bad idea. But every day she's hearing this, so she thinks there must be, if you hear it every day, there must be something to it. And so she tries to bind Krishna, but it's impossible. God, how can you conquer God? But then she starts to not just try by her own endeavor. She's trying hard. This is effort. It's important to have effort in spiritual life. You have to try. If you don't try, then it's why are they going to give you their mercy? You have to show you want it, and to show you want it, you have to try it. It's a symptom for your desire, meaning it's a manifestation of your earnest desire. I'm trying hard, but ultimately we need to do more than try. We need to receive mercy. And so when Krishna sees Mother Yashoda sweating, perspiring, heaving, embarrassed, all her friends, all the gopis, oh look, she can't even bind her own son's waist. She starts to pray to Narayan, and Krishna's thinking, oh, all the Narayans, worship me. She's praying to Narayan, okay. In his heart, some softness comes, and she's able to bind him. So she was always 2 fingers short. First finger is described to be our chesta, our endeavor. The second is Krishna's mercy. So in this way, this is Radha Damodar Brat. So we'll have group puja. I don't remember, my mind's a bit going around in circles, but to change the nine, we can end with this thought. To change the temporary acquired nature to our pure spiritual nature, the best process is, like we said, Krishna Kirtan, Krishna Nam. Hey. Prikritam Rajavaduvidam Chavishnu Shradamvito Anusuyat Ata Varnayadya Bhakting Parang Bhagavati Pratilapya Kamam Hridrogam Asva Pinoti Achitena Dhira. Weakness of heart, material thirsts, mistaken identity, these are very big challenges to overcome. Impossible by your own effort. You can try Hatha Yoga, Astanga, you can try to follow yoga processes to absolve ego and these things. But it's very, very, very difficult. Krishna says, Kleshodikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam. This process is full of klesh, great difficulty. If you try to approach me in the spiritual method, or simply by Astanga yoga process. It's very difficult. The best sweet process is bhakti. So follow bhakti. And the best form of bhakti, you overcome weakness of heart, overcome all these problems. Mistaken identity, weakness of heart, material thirst, simply hear Krishna Katha, chant Krishna Nam, be in association of devotees, and then pray deeply and sincerely while chanting. And then one day, the method is, if one ray of light from those Brihdabasis who have pure love for Krishna shines upon our heart, and that frozen, acquired nature will instantly melt, and our pure spiritual nature will awaken. So even when you discuss, like, does the soul have bhakti inherent? The spiritual nature that is present with the vastu, but the acquired nature has covered it. So we're trying to awaken this pure spiritual nature and lose the acquired nature. And then we can awaken to our true identity. So this is our process. This is why we sing and pray to the Brihdabasis. Process to achieve bhav, or the highest perfection of human life. Highest perfection of human life is divine love for Krishna, prem, but that prem is achieved in a spiritual form. In this life, you can get a ray of that prem in the form of bhav, spiritual ecstasy, can come into our hearts and wash away our acquired nature instantly. Our pure spiritual nature will manifest, and then bhakti is very quickly after that, in moments, we'll be with Krishna. Yes.
Just trying to recap and a couple things I got missing. So the 4 original anarthas, or non-valuable perversions. 1, mistaken identity, swaruprama. 2, development of material thirst for what's not real, asat, tisha. 3, weakness of heart. Why is that?
We know bhakti, we know everything is good, but we know what's good for us, what's bad for us, but it's hard,
What's the term for it?
Hridaya durbalyam, weakness of heart. And last is aparad, offenses.
And then 4 is offenses. Okay. 4 is offenses. Then and offenses aparad. From there you mentioned, of course, Damodarastaka, the 2 fingers. I know Chesta is endeavor, and I know that in English the other one is said mercy. What's the term?
Kripa.
Kripa. And then when it comes to the Gopa switch, when the other mothers go and grab Krishna and do the Gopa switch. The Gopa. I know that with Radharani, there's 3 camps, ones that are neutral, inimical, and favorable to
Rasa
Radharani,
questions.
right? So in this Gopa switch, the boy, is it a friend of Krishna? Is it neutral to Krishna? Or is he inimical to Krishna and he's mad that he got caught?
No, he's Krishna's friend. I haven't heard of the Maharaj, I don't know if you've heard, I don't know if I've heard of these 3 camps of Sakas. I know there is with the gopis. With gopis we hear Sahrit, Tatashta, and Swapaksha. Swapaksha means own intimate group, Tatashta means neutral. It's not inimical, Tatashta means neutral. No one's inimical to Radharani. No, there's 4 actually. Vipaksha. Vipaksha means from an opposing group. Tatashta means neutral, Suhrit means friendly, and Swapaksha means one's own intimate circle. But I haven't heard of those categories with the Sakas. Maharaj, I haven't heard of those.
I've not either.
So that's something, I'm not going to give a conclusive statement on it, but I've never heard of that. And Maharaj has heard a lot more than me, and he hasn't heard of it.
So we can say
They're all Krishna's friends. They're all his friends.
So they're all in.
There's different groups within them. There's Baladev's Saka's group. There's there's groups within groups, but they're all Krishna's friends.
Okay.
So we're gonna end here. We'll have more time later. We're gonna have our Zoom at 1 or something too. We'll have Guru Puja and Jai for the meeting.